All right. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all having yourselves a fantastic start to the AM here. Are feeling sharp, feeling ready to go, and hopefully, right, we can get ourselves a great trading day going here. Hopefully, everyone in the chat is having themselves a fantastic start this AM. It'd be great if you could all confirm if you can hear me here or hear me just fine. That would be much appreciated. Again, right, just here on the kind of travel setup for the next couple of days. So hopefully no issues. And yeah, working fine for everybody. So we could confirm that would be fantastic. Beautiful. All right. So a couple things, right? Yesterday, pretty decent sell-off, right? All things considered, like a pretty big sized move. But it wasn't a move that was really supported by any significant period of volume, right? We kind of been talking about how price action is continuing to consolidate inside that Wednesday, April 9th range. And yesterday, right, was very much a similar story of that. We're now effectively in the middle, right, or the implied middle of sort of that Wednesday's range or that Wednesday candle. And so, from my perspective, right, it continues to look like the market is like doubling down on that consolidation narrative. Now, that obviously doesn't mean that we can't get any tradable opportunities here in the meantime. But if we're going to have this like low volume grind type PA, then we're going to have to continue to be very picky and deliberate with what types of trades we're looking for because it's going to maintain a very kind of like choppy backdrop. I also think, right, it probably, I don't know if it helps or if it doesn't helps. I'm going to say it probably helps, right, in suggesting that the chop is going to be a little bit more exaggerated here while we wait for a lot of these earnings narratives to effectively figure themselves out. So, there's a couple stories, right? Maybe in just like a market calendar perspective that would indicate for us, yeah, just like formal consolidation, choppier, slower, maybe more challenging price action. And from my perspective, it's just forcing me to keep my guard up here, right, and not force anything kind of dumb or stupid. Yesterday, zero trades on the day, and looking back at it, I feel pretty vindicated that that was the right decision. The volume standard there yesterday, right, was certainly not impressive enough to indicate like a personality change there in markets. And I think of all the opportunities I would have had there yesterday, it either would have required like an absolutely flawless execution, or right, it would have forced me to have basically survived a fake out before a move happening. So neither of those scenarios are how I would describe like the easy trade, and sort of talked about that a little bit yesterday. Been kind of talking about this concept here for about a week or so, and it's effectively right. If it's not easy, I don't want it. And so far this week, right? I mean, it's only Tuesday morning, but so far this week, right, we haven't seen particularly any easy trading setups. And I'm hopeful that we can get a change in that here at some point, but I'm not going to be effectively like changing my stance on wanting the easy trade until I start to see some of them occurring, right, and starting to run and becoming a little bit more common. So, from my perspective, this is very much a time where I need to be like kind of patient, right, and relaxed and deliberate and focused here on my trading, more so than this being a time where I need to really aggressively press my luck and like try to force P&L. I don't think that these are the right conditions for that. This is more of a survive versus thrive type market. Maybe that's not the right way of describing it, but I would prefer to be like, I don't need to be my foot on the gas here all the way, right? In these types of market conditions, I need to be a little bit safer, right? I need to be kind of watching out for like speed traps, to use the car analogy here further. And I think it's just really easy to lose money in these conditions, or a lot easier to lose money than it is to be consistently profitable. So that's totally reasonable, right? Q1 was an incredible kind of run of form there for us. Kind of the vast majority of March and April, right, have been really successful sort of trading weeks, right, for us as well. And so now market's kind of catching the breath for a little bit is a totally reasonable and normal type of circumstance. So what our job to do here is to basically not lose our nerve before the market starts to move again. And what I mean by not losing our nerve, right, is not like rushing into trades, not willing to break any rules, right, not having any process-based mistakes that would then haunt me, right, when things start to move aggressively here going forward. Trading fundamentally has like some seasonality to it, right? Each strategy has moments or times where it's got more triggers, right? Less triggers, where it has more opportunities, right? Less opportunities, and times where it outperforms its expected win rate and then underperforms its expected win rate. And I think right now, objectively, this is a period, right, where we're seeing less kind of consistent daily opportunities. And so just need to sit tight, right? Trust the process and not try to force anything or like complicate things here in the meantime. For those of you who are, into the prop game and, playing with these prop firms, the big reason why we're seeing so many of these promotions, right, these discounts coming up, all these sort of offers is because people are just blowing their accounts left, right, and center. And so, these prop firms kind of betray themselves because they give you like really aggressive boundaries that you can work within, and they kind of want traders to execute within those parameters because when they do, right, then they ultimately end up making more on evaluations and kind of like taking home a bigger buck. The prop firms, right? And I'm not the actual trader. So if you want to consistently outperform them and you want to use those as tools to gamify your trading, you almost have to do a Costanza, right, of the rules that they want you to take. So a lot of these firms, right, want you to, they try to incentivize you to trade every day by saying, there's a consistency rule, right? Or they want you to be taking, massive contract sized trades just because you can take 15 in your account. They want you to be holding out, right, for really small, quick moves and scalping away because it limits their sort of P&L that they have to pay out. So if we effectively do like the opposite of that, right, or the opposite of like the easy path that they want us to take, then we're going to be in a lot better of a situation and we're going to consistently get a lot more payouts, right, and put ourselves in just really good spots, right, as traders. So there's a few things kind of going on in my head here, as you can probably tell, starting off the day. But one, expecting a day of kind of chop / consolidation, right, until I get a proven otherwise. Expecting that proven otherwise to potentially be driven by some of the like economic indicators that we've got dropping this week, or at the very least, right, the earnings narratives that are starting here in earnest over the next couple days. And then, just understanding, right, that like P&L, price action, technique, ability moves in a seasonal type way. And right now we're in a type of season, at least in the last, we'll say, 10 trading days, right? We're in a path where we need to be more patient and cautious than it's worthwhile to be aggressive. So the risk reward, right, is more skewed to losing trades than it is to making money, just because we're getting choppy, low volume condition that it can be, I don't want to say manipulated, but it can be influenced quite easily here by bouts of short-term momentum. And so we're looking for some of those personality quirks to resolve themselves, and then we can kind of get back to being aggressive. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense here this morning. That's effectively kind of like the philosophical approach of how I'm going to be looking at markets here today. And yeah, hopefully we can get ourselves rocking and rolling here, putting ourselves in a good situation, and then we can go from there. So first things first, right, we got to check the economic calendar here on Market Watch. So nothing too crazy. We got some Fed speak here today at 2 and 2:30. Wednesdays where things really start to kick off. So fine. Okay. And then, yeah, let's kind of get after it here, team. So first things first, what's the count on ES? Let's start there. And yeah, good morning, everybody. Hope you're doing well. So yeah, what's the count here on ES? What do we think? Who's got it? Yeah, so spot on, right? Red candle, decreasing volume, and then gap up. So one of the three, if we're looking at that from a strategy perspective, right, that's telling me a day of formal consolidation, and that I should be looking for a breakout or a breakdown through yesterday's lows or highs to really push us right up and over. Now, to the upside here, we didn't really test pre-market high after yesterday's kind of US Open. So that 53.10 and beyond continues to be sort of our starting point for levels to the upside. When we're looking for setups here to the downside, I think a move here under 51.80, right, can push us down towards like 51.20. So that's going to be sort of my starting point here. And then 60-ish points, right, from where we're at right now, it gives me a little bit more than 100 points of daily range, which is plenty of space. So fundamentally, right, 1 for 3 here to the downside tells me consolidation slash weak bearish price action. Two things would change that narrative, right? So we want to turn that 1 for 3 into a 3 for 3. So we want to see both a strong setup trigger, right? And then that setup trigger be confirmed by a strong volume narrative. Ideally, right, we're wanting to see larger volume than what we saw there yesterday, and ideally what like larger volume than what we saw there on that inside bar day. The more enthusiasm we can get from a volume perspective, the easier it is for us to argue that we've gotten that kind of like personality change, that shift in momentum, however you want to describe it. So looking at those opening volume bars here this morning, going to be a really good indicator for us over how choppy, conservative, or aggressive, right, price action might actually end up being here today. If it ends up being another kind of like low vol grind day, then we continue to sort of behave as if we're in kind of bearish trending markets here to the downside. And I'm not going to need to be hyper aggressive looking to like call a bottom within those contexts. So at the moment, right, we're trying to take in a bunch of information, right? We're trying to find a short-term indication of like a momentum shift, but we're also trying to put clues together here on like a daily or like longer term perspective over what the general trend of the market is. So even after that like big recovery day potentially there on the Wednesday, price action has failed to find a bid, and we've not been able to sustain any of these moves. So we're looking at opportunities now where bears can take back control, and if they do so, they probably have the impetus to do so with more enthusiasm or more strength than what bulls have been able to accomplish here in the last little bit. So it's almost like a turn-based strategy game where bulls have rolled their dice, they didn't get a very good score, and now it's up for bears to be able to really punish them for that sort of lack of enthusiasm and momentum. If bears start to fail here at these levels, they're not able to push down towards those Wednesday lows, then we know that we're in for a bout of maybe longer consolidation. And we're going to have to be, really aggressive basically in just how we're taking profit off the table and not getting emotionally attached to our position. So a lot to think about there today from ES, and hopeful that we can turn that into our advantage. All right. NQ, similar, not so similar. How do we feel? Yeah, same count, right? So again, 1 for 3 here to the downside. We've got quote unquote bearish price action, but weak bearish price action with no indication of a volume trend, which again, right, makes sense. We're in the implied middle of that Wednesday range. So pretty much everything I've just repeated there on ES maintains, it's kind of like intellectual integrity, right, as we start to kind of review our plan here on NQ. Similar scenario though, right? We're opening up not only in the implied middle of Wednesday's range, but kind of in the give or take middle of Monday's range. So we're going to be targeting, right, Monday's pre-market highs and then yesterday's low of day as kind of my starting point here to the upside and to the downside. So to the downside, 17.6. And again, just rounding to the nearest round number. And then we can get down towards maybe that 16.7, which would be nuts. I'll just go down to 17,000 for now. That's a pretty big move. Um, But yeah, could be worth watching here, right? If it does kind of come together. And then to the upside here, 18.4. Don't need to change that from too many perspectives. And yeah, it certainly looks like it could be pretty interesting. So also worth noting here, right, that NQ is going to be a little bit more proportionally impacted versus ES when it comes to some of these volatility swings based on earnings. So I think Netflix is going to be one of our first names that starts to report here, and the weighting of Netflix and NQ is going to be larger than the weighting of Netflix in ES. That is going to be more and more exaggerated as we start to creep up to even some of the larger market cap names. So once we start to deal with like the Apples and the Microsofts of the world, then yeah, we're going to start to get maybe more volatility kind of returning from that perspective. And in general, those types of moves set up really well for that mean reversion technique. So if we do ever break out of this consolidation range, we're going to be in really good shape to be able to take advantage of some of that volatility. But we need to be patient, right, until we do see that move occur. Again, I'm going to repeat this here today. And like I said there yesterday, as traders, we get paid for our decisions, not our time. And there are going to be a lot of opportunities where price action just does not give you an appropriate setup trigger, and like it doesn't meet all your rules, or it doesn't follow your risk management guidelines, or whatever it might be. So we can't feel bad or hold it against ourselves when it's close but not good enough. I'm not really interested in compromising. I'm interested in being stubborn and following my rules, and kind of just playing the game based on the data that I have. Every time I deviate away from those structures, every time I deviate away from those processes, every time I pretend or trick myself, right, in thinking that I'm smarter than my processes, it always ends up biting me in the ass. And so I'm not interested in that, right? I'm not interested in that form of self-sabotage. Yes, it might be boring. Yes, it might not be super entertaining. Yes, right? It might not feel like if you're at the track, but those are all good things, right? Because the more in control you are as a trader, the easier it is for you to maintain that objective and rational belief, right, of being able to execute your ideas. And the second you start to subconsciously even believe that your rules are too limiting, right, or your ego starts to override those decisions, the sooner you start to blow your account, the sooner you start to make bad calls, the sooner you start to chase price action that isn't ideal, and you start to compromise on your decisions. So don't do that, right? Hold yourself to a higher standard, expect excellence from yourself, be strict and harsh on yourself, right, when you break your rules, and make it easy for you to learn from your mistakes. So all of those things, right, are fundamental in that sort of self-improvement character arc. And it's important that we all make that decision to make that choice ourselves. No one can do that for us. We have to make that choice individually. And yeah, it might be boring. It might suck. It might not be exciting, right? It might feel like you're wasting your time. But I promise you, slowing down and forcing yourself to be structured and disciplined is a lot faster than having those like massive highs only for you to blow your account 2 days later and then having to start back from zero. So be patient, right? Follow your rules, make your plan, be deliberate, define how you want to see price action behave before you enter a trade. Define what strong price action looks like after you've entered your trade, and you're going to maintain a lot more of your mental capital. It's going to be a lot easier to be disciplined, and you're going to end up being a lot more profitable. So get this idea out of your head that you need X amount of trades or X amount of money per day to be successful. That's not how trading works. We're not holding ourselves to a short-term target. We're holding ourselves to a long-term objective. So it's not about what I need to make here today. It's if I follow this set pattern of behaviors, how successful will I be here long term? So don't attach your ego to the quantity of your trades or your daily P&L. That's a short-term trap, and the sooner you can get away from that and start looking at things from a long-term perspective, again, right, the easier it is to make your decisions binary and then ultimately be successful. So in these choppy, challenging conditions, right, obsessing over the quality of our decisions is very, very important, if not more important than the actual trading plan. The more that we can obsess over the variables that we can control, easier it is for us to repeat those techniques, make money, and then scale up our ideas. Again, right? Your P&L is a lagging indicator to your ability to be technically proficient. Don't try to make it a leading indicator and hope that you're going to catch up once you have X amount of money. It simply doesn't work that way. So be structured, be disciplined, follow your rules, stick to your processes, and refuse to accept a compromise. And I promise you, you'll do a lot better trading than if you're just chasing kind of random impulsive bullshit feelings. All right, see y'all. Inside bar here with volume, generally my least favorite type of pre-market conditions, right? Because it tells me, like, if bears were so strong, why couldn't they make a lower low? I might have to be pinching my own words. It is not an inside bar. Okay, so do have technically a bearish bias here, but it kind of looks like we're maybe off a short-term bottom, right, relative to what we've seen there from the indexes, or at least we've broken out above that Wednesday range. And we currently appear to be using that Wednesday high, right, as our area of support. So yes, reasonable to have a bullish bias here in both directions. And yeah, targeting like that 64 there is fine. To the downside, yes, do have some flexibility here. And we're targeting 61, called 62 as a starting point here, then 61.50, and then we can get down towards like 59 maybe. Cool. So in general, right, relatively flexible trading path here again. We're wanting to see just volume show up and indicate, right, that we've got a breakout from the consolidation that's been occurring over the last 2 days. If we're going to continue to get that low vol grind and that low vol chop, then it's going to be a fake out heavy market. And maybe we think about using the fake out entry technique instead of the pullback or aggressive. But we'll get to that bridge when we get to it. But yeah, for now, hopefully that all makes sense here this morning. So let's take a look here. Some of our leading names. Okay, Apple, 1 for 3. So again, kind of consolidation. Microsoft, same thing, 1 for 3. Tesla, weak 2 out of 3 with volume. Amazon, same thing. Gapping up above, right, that high, which is interesting. AMD, 1 out of 3. Same thing, 1 out of 3. Netflix, 3 for 3, same thing, week 3 for 3. Always expected to get bigger volume, right? Post earnings, so that makes sense. And then Google, 1 for 3. Cool. And then even though this VIX quote is delayed, it's 10 minutes or whatever it is. So still hanging out at 27.37. So about, 1.5% implied range, give or take here this morning. So a little bit less volatility than what we've seen. We've definitely transitioned away from it being effectively like a drunk market, right? Hyper aggressive, big moves in both directions, big flushes, big runs, right? Those 100-point candles in 5 seconds. And it's gotten back a little bit more to that sort of low vol grind. So going to be patient here, going to be deliberate, going to wait for my perfect A plus setup. Again, judging myself on my ability here to follow my rules, trust my processes, and execute my technique. Not judging myself here on my P&L. If I do those things well, if I control those variables, then the P&L will take care of itself, and I'm honestly not going to have to worry about it. So again, right, out of sight, out of mind here as much as possible, and just really focusing on being as technically proficient as I can, because the more I focused on the technical elements behind a trade, generally the better my trading goes. So hopefully that makes a little bit of sense here, everybody. Any questions here this AM? How are we feeling? Yeah, bonds flying for sure. And we're getting into it's an interesting situation, right? Who's going to blink first, Trump or Powell? Yeah, I mean, being disciplined is not fun, By the way I think about it, right, is being disciplined in my trading life for like 2 hours a day allows me to live with freedom in every other hour. So it's like, okay, I get to be like the I have to pay like a little toll, right, to be able to live the life that I want. And that's definitely worth it. Any questions about our prep here this morning, team? Everything kind of makes sense. How we feeling? Fantastic. All right, team. So I'm just gonna go make myself a quick coffee here. I actually do have some coffee this morning. So I'll be back at it in just a couple minutes. Bear with me. And then we'll jump back on here in a moment and kind of get after it here again this morning. So give me 2 minutes and I'll be back in a second. All right, everybody. So let's get ready for what should hopefully be an interesting trading day. Obviously, have the ORB here set up and also have the mean reversion technique. Would not expect the mean reversion to be in play here today. Not enough sort of implied volatility there in the last little bit. We'll see if I end up kind of being proven wrong. But yeah, kind of maybe one of those periods where it's a little bit quieter there. It's not a big deal. But yeah, it's going to be patient and deliberate. Again, right? I do not care how many trades I get today. Doesn't matter if it's five, doesn't matter if it's 10, doesn't matter if it's zero. I'm not judging myself here on the quantity of my trades. The number itself, right, is irrelevant. I'm judging myself on the ability to execute my rules, follow my process, and to execute my technique. It only is over trading, right? When I start to take trades or start to make decisions that deteriorate my ability to execute those three things, right? So when I start to take trades that don't follow my setup triggers, when I start to take trades that don't follow my risk management rules or my entry requirements or whatever, then that is over trading, right? I'm needlessly deteriorating my edge just because I'm craving action. But if every setup here I follow to the T, right? I execute ruthlessly. I am deliberate and specific about, then yeah, it's not over trading, right? Over trading is only when the market tricks you into making decisions that you don't want to make. And so our objective, right, or our desire here is to optimize for getting used, right, to only making decisions that we want to make, that there's no compromises, that there's no like um, tricks, right, or there's no whatever. It's all about being deliberate and specific. And ultimately, right, that's going to make us a lot more successful. How's everyone feeling this morning? Everyone feeling good? Interesting. Okay. I mean, that's interesting for sure. Also gave it to me on NQ. Maybe wasn't expecting that. So let's just move this for a second. So average win here to the downside, 138.71. So we'll call it 140. What's it on the 3 min? The problem with this custom indicator is there's so much data it needs to load. All right. So we're looking at an average win of about 120. So it does keep our math here pretty easy. So right around there would be our target. So your stop would have to be 162.50, right? The high of our signal candle. Is this going to set up here as well on the 5? Interesting. So for now, right, it would be, I mean, you got to get an entry in 25 points, right, of 162.50. Almost eyeballed it. So right around there. It's going to ding here in a second. So I could also now do the aggressive entry technique on this, which would be looking like that. Stop loss 124. So I'm watching. This would be a one contract play here, guys. One contract play. Let's see if this thing can behave well inside this area. Stop loss 124. Call it 124.50. Just be patient here. Just be patient. Okay, so I'm going to start to look for a pullback here. Okay, watch, watch, watch. Still no entry. So stop now would have to be 128. right? And we're looking for that blue line to basically act as like area of resistance, right? Or support here to the downside. So far, every time we've kind of seen price action pull back into it, it's effectively bounced off of it like a trampoline instead of pushed price action lower. So we're waiting, right, until we see that price action get pushed lower. I call it elevator down, stairs up. So I want to see that elevator down reaction, right, where it starts to move lower faster than it moves higher. And until I see that, right, I need to be a little bit patient. Right. So see how or see how price action just went from like 110 to 126, right, in like 2 seconds. That for me is not a very strong indication, right, of bearish price action, at least not yet. So it's telling me that my entry timing here is probably not going to be correct. And if my entry timing here isn't going to be correct, then it also probably means that my stop loss logic, right, is going to need to be revised. So nothing here, right? Post signal candles indicating that I need to be hyper aggressive yet. Maybe it'll change, but I got to be patient here for now still. Again, so far only would have been a losing trade. So there's no like pain here, right? That's better. That's a much better reaction. And then now bouncing quick. It is starting to look a little bit exhausted, but it keeps making higher highs on that exhaustion. Can I go back to high a day as my stop loss? 160. Okay, that's what I'm going to do. Stop loss is going to be high of day. Short, right? Looking short. So look in here. If I can get a little pullback, right? Just a little bit more. It's got to be above 139 or 135, sorry, right? I might have just missed my fill there. Okay, let's see if I can pull back here again. Okay, watching here, right? Watching. That was a pretty quick pullback right back into my price. So again, being patient, not forcing this. All right, that went from like 120 to 150, right, in 5 seconds. Is this the fake outs? No. I'm not going to talk myself into that. That's too much risk. So if I'm gonna, if it would be the fake out, right? I need to see a double fake out. So I need to see Basically a failed move above previous high a day and then a failure above that. Otherwise, right, we're getting rid of this as a mean reversion technique and we're starting to look for opening range breakout type scenarios after seeing effectively bears fail on their setup triggers. So increasing outlier volume there on that 3-min candle. So that looks okay. ES a little bit further behind. So I'm going to focus on NQ here, targeting effectively 263. Right, so just targeting that opening range to our level. Okay. These are my prices, right? For now, stop loss would be 111.75. So we need a 36 or better, right? Entry. So approximately that blue line, right? The midpoint here of the opening range. A pullback here into 147.50 is a moot point now. Now we're looking for the aggressive entry. But I want to be within 25 points, right? Always want to be within 25 points. And now I want to see basically our confirmation candle high of act as support. So again, right, we've already seen a move fail here to the downside. So we're going to be a little bit patient here. But I've got everything set up. So for now, stop loss set up right as 170. Implied entry price here is 185. So I'm risking about 15 points, right? So it's a one contract play. And I need to see that blue line act as support. Right now, we're finding support maybe a little bit below that, but we've also seen a little bit of a failure above. So I want to see support get sustained above my confirmation candle high if I'm going to trust that this has momentum towards like that 263 and beyond. Okay, so again, watching here carefully. Yeah, thanks for someone asked me how I'm doing. I'm feeling great, guys. I'm feeling great. I'm starting to get very excited for my move. Can't wait. Really looking forward to being a mountain man. Sounds ridiculous, but yeah, it's truth. So still watching here, still watching. I have to say, I feel so good after I didn't have coffee for 2 days. Now I got coffee again. I feel like I'm on like Ritalin or something. It's incredible. So let's see if we can get this thing to pull back here just a little bit. If it doesn't, right, then we're going to look for this on the 5-min time frame as an opening range breakout. Not a big deal. Tough moves though, right? It's given us or finding support kind of under our zones and then flying. And we've seen one example of that happening. We've also seen one example of that failing, right? So it's a little bit like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If you try to break your rules here, right, you'd get variance here in both directions, and neither variant, right, would be particularly interesting or would feel particularly good. Maybe that's the better way of describing it. Okay, so watching here on this 5-min, held above 200. So pretty good pop. Ooh, this thing is flying this morning. All right, so we're looking right for a pullback now into 221-ish. Stop loss 208. Again, we're going to look to see if this thing can find support here. Yep. All right, so we're going to start to look for an entry. This thing can pull back gently. Again, I'll be looking at one contract, guys. One contract. Oh, you got to be kidding me. Just trying to run without me. Okay, and so watching this pullback here into 221. Oh, it's so mean. Okay, so maybe we can play this 3 min now towards 300, something like this. Oh, I got rid of the wrong line. Right, something like this. So stop loss 205. So will likely give us the aggressive entry technique here. So wait it out, 20 seconds. I'm trading one contract here, Sail. I'm not quite sure if I understand your question. Oh yeah, Mike, it's going to be 50 hours of driving over a couple days. Not looking forward to that. So guys, yeah, stop loss would be 205, one contract here, NQ. It needs to pull under 227, right? Okay, so watching carefully here. That was a really good bounce off of 227, so still watching. Okay, so watching. Everything's set up here. Oh man, gave me 229. Gonna go down to 227. I would still prefer this. Okay, watching closely here. Okay, guys, I am in average price 221 long, one contract. Stop at 205. So really good entry. So let's see if this thing can run and push higher. But yeah, so far so good here, team. So far so good. So let's see if we can break out, right, and push higher highs above like that 250 area. Okay, keep pushing here. I don't like these little pseudo moves and then pull back. If I'm trying to be objective here, right, strong price action would run effectively after my entry. Hmm. Okay, it's got to bounce here. Got to go. Okay, guys, I've been stopped out. I've been stopped out there at 205 minus 310, minus 310. Annoyingly, right back to the entry price. Okay, well, happy to be out. Not enough volume on that time frame. Looks like a rejection on the longers. The fake out's a little bit rude. Again, right back to the entry price. It's kind of a nasty little fake out. Let's see if we can maybe get a little baby entry here. So stop would have to be 197. It's 20 points right there. Kind of want to see if it can fake out right under this 197.25. If I can get another indication of like a bearish failure, then it's starting to feel like it's a coil, right, for a move back to the upside. It keeps finding support there. Okay, wait for this candle to close. 3 seconds. Inside bar. Okay, so I'm watching closely here again. Come on, just give me a little bit more. Okay, still watching here, still watching. This is the move we wanted our initial entry. Oof, ruthless. Okay. Oh, it's tough. Um, it looks like a fake out. I would need CL to hold under low of day for me to trust that it's anything other than consolidation. For me, it still looks like it's an index heavy trade here. Oops, dictionary, not what I need. Okay, so again, watching here. 240 would be my stop loss. So I need to pull back here into the green line. 14 points, one contract. Come on. Uh, how did we get shaken out of that first trade? That's crazy. Okay, so here we go. First attempt inside that zone. Let's watch carefully. Again, one contract. Okay, guys, I am in average price 254.75 on the dot long. Come on. A little bit of deja vu here. It's got to get over. Okay, push, push, push. Don't want to see a failed breakout here. So if it makes a higher high, right, above 265 and then pulls back, I'm going to have to get out. So that's really the next kind of like benchmark to look at here. Keeps getting stuck at 260, which is making me just a little bit nervous. Nah, I don't like this range. Come on, go, go, go. See if we can get over 265, right? 265 is the key number here. All right, good pop. See if it can hold now. Okay, keep going here, baby. Come on. Okay, there we go. So now let's see if this thing can sustain this follow through, right, and push up towards highs. But there we go, team, right? Should make you now nicely green here on the day. So let's see if this thing can sustain. This trade had to fight a little bit of demons, I think. Ooh, that was a bad pullback. So we're going to look to get out here, team. Going to look to get out here on a quick little pullback higher. I reckon I have a chance to maybe get to my entry price or just a little bit better. Okay, guys, I am out at 257. Out at 257 on that candle close. That was a failed move. I am out at 257. I will potentially try this trade again here. That was a ruthless potential fake out, but I got to follow my rules, right? Okay. So what we do here now, right, is we reset and we try this same thesis again. Such a nasty shake and fake. Unbelievable. Okay, well, still I'll finish back mostly green here, but yeah, that's now leaving a bunch of money on the table. It's a tough trade. That's a double fake out in a scenario where I've seen fake outs here happen multiple times. Made the plan that if I see the fake out above, right, my entry price, I have to look to get out. I did that. Well, I didn't pick the top. I kind of picked the middle of that range. It's a little bit frustrating because it is leaving a bit of money on the table. And it's frustrating that's like the next, literally right after I close, it rockets up an extra 500 bucks. So a little bit ruthless from that perspective. But oh man, that's why we talked about this market, right? Really trying to trick you into making decisions that force you into giving up control, right? That's a typical example. You make a decision, you make a plan, you stick to your process, you follow your rules. Okay, you make a bit of money, not life changing, and then it makes you feel the FOMO, right, of rushing after breaking your rules. So I have to look at this, and I can't hold it against myself, right? It's not my fault that price action moved this way based on every reasonable expectation that I have. I should be looking to get out of those trades once I start seeing failed moves. Seeing an exception to that rule occur stings, but it's not enough evidence for me to indicate that I should be changing my strategy or changing my technique or swinging harder for these opportunities. I got to just stay in my lane, right? Made a plan, stuck to my plan, traded in control, didn't give up that element. That's something to be very proud of. And yeah, if it sets up again, I can take another stab at it. Ideally, right, it gives me a breakout over 300 or a rejection at 300, and then I can look for a breakdown here back towards lows. It's kind of an annoying trade. But hey, positive is positive. We've gotten kind of faked out twice here today now, right? We got faked out on that first setup, and then we got faked out of a nice win here on that second attempt. So pain in the ass, but I promise you guys it's not personal. Sometimes in choppy markets, your rules are gonna Costanza themselves, right? So that's kind of an example that we got there to a certain extent. A freaking annoying one, but we try again. We try again. So again, right? I'm not judging myself here on my P&L. I'm judging myself on my ability to make good and rational decisions. By every metric I have in my trading, that was a good decision. So now let's just see if I can get another opportunity, right, to basically continue on this thesis and yeah, get back to having a nice day here. Frustrating, but out of sight, out of mind here. Move on, right? Okay, so we have maybe this 5-min signal here targeting a move towards 400. So again, can try this again, right? If a trade is strong, it'll give us more than one chance to enter. So you're looking at a 285 stop loss. Entry around 294. So you're looking at 9 points of risk, right? So this could be two contracts here potentially. Maybe the better entry, right, would be one contract off of like 300-ish. So I'm going to do that instead. Okay, so watching here closely. There it is. All right, guys. So I am in at 300 on the dot, actually. 300 on the dot. Let's see if this thing can rock and roll here. Okay, so again, let's see if this thing can pop and fly. Maybe a little bit too aggressive with my entry. Okay, guys, I am out. $360 loss. So up one, down one, up one, down one. Classic. Down about 400 bucks here on the day. I did think that 300 was a good entry. Interesting. CL here to the upside could be interesting. Targeting 64. 30 seconds to go on this NQ 5 min and ES 5 min. I'd be looking for a high volume reversal here at this point, right? If I'm going to play this to the downside. I'm not sure I'm going to get the opportunity. So this would then probably default me towards CL. A little bit topsy-turvy here so far this morning. One up, one down. Annoying, but that's fine. Part of the game. And we've done a good job here losing small. Good job here protecting profits. So can't really complain. CL here now, right? We'd be targeting a move towards 64 bucks. Stop loss would be 63.40. You're risking about, we'll say, 5 cents a contract. We'll see if this thing pulls back. So each contract's right, you'd be costing you about 50 bucks. It'd be a bit more than that here potentially now. Okay, so I'm going to watch CL. Don't like how it makes me reset that every time. Okay. No interest now. Yep, I'll pass. Okay, so we're just looking for an increasing volume separation here. You might have a chance on this three min, and then play a red to green reversal, arguably my favorite setup in the world. Be close. 10 seconds. All right, I'll call that outlier. Maybe not the world's best candle shape. Held lower lows, held lower highs. So I'm trying to think about this as like a two candle setup, right? Here's my failed breakout. Here's my bearish engulfing candle. Here's my volume, right? Indicating that bears are back in control. So it's kind of a three candle setup here, or a three candle trade. Just trying to think of where the most logical stop loss is and the best, like, I don't want to get faked out again here. That would not be very fun. So I would look at that. That would make some sense to me. Stop loss 276. Got 16, 17, 18 points, 20 points. I think this has to be approximately my entry zone here. Okay, I am in short 266, 266 short. Stop is 276. Yeah, not an immediately green entry, which I don't like. It's close. Okay, well, I did take the stop there, $200. Down about 500 bucks here on the day. That's annoying. Doing a good job here, keeping my losses pretty small. They're stacking up though a little bit, right? A little bit frustrating from that perspective. A good decision to get out. So again, still very much within a one trade kind of sample size of being able to get profitable. 25 points away, 27 points away from being green, which is a very reasonable sized move. Just can't seem for the life of me get my timing correct this morning. Because are you telling me that this is the setup? Like a retest of 300 and now breaking down again? That would give me 22 points of risk as is. 400-ish bucks. It's almost like the way to look at this, right, is how it's kind of like multi-zoned. So we're seeing rejections here, right? Support here. I think that's probably your tradable range. And it's 100 points, right? Like that's a huge range. Okay, so I'm watching here. I'm looking for like a 300 rejection, right? So basically see price action get stuffed. See the reaction at that zone. If it's good, look to go short one contract. Maybe I could go two here. Now this would be one. Okay, so watch here. So I need something like that, right? Oh, ruthless. Might show back up. $60. Oh, okay, I'm watching this again. This will be two contracts. Okay, sweet. So I am in average price 267, two cons. Just watching this very quickly here. Okay, let's see if this thing can fly. Come on. Okay, so far so good here, team. So far so good. So let's see if this thing can keep flushing through and put me green on the day. Come on, baby. Hmm. Come on, go, go, go. All right, so that might have been a worst case scenario survival. Bounces back right away. Come on, go, go, go. There, it's starting to move here, team. Let's go. See if this thing can really break down here now through 500. There we go. Sorry, through 50, not 500. That was a P&L slip there. So that's 700. See if this thing can keep flushing. There we go. All right, finally. All right, so let's see if this thing can keep pushing lower lows. I'm a little bit paranoid about giving this back. Just an incy bincy spider paranoid. Do think I probably should get out. I mean, that thing flirted with my stop loss and then some. So, guys, I am out of this trade. I am all out of this position, right? That was definitely the right read. I am all out. Fill price 255. So plus 480. So gave back just incy bincy of that. This is a lot of work for a scratch day. And yeah, that was definitely the right read there. And so again, if this is strong, it'll give us another chance to enter. But if I'm looking at every single trade I've taken here so far this morning, it's like edge of your seat tense, right? It's not moving smoothly in either direction. It's faking out both sides before it runs, before it goes, before it runs. It's like I'm down $37 here on the day. And it's been a working man's $37. So it's like, man, well, this is a lot of work for nothing, right? A lot of extra gray hairs for nothing. Anthony, my stop loss technique, you can review that inside the Discord, right? It's stop loss plus the spread. Whatever the price is plus the spread, right? So no, I never use a mental stop loss. It's always price plus the spread, right? It's been like that for 18 months. You know this. Again, there's a video inside the Discord, right? It's called Techniques to Avoid Getting Faked Out. I would watch that team, right? I'm executing that video here to the T. It's how I execute all my trades. So I would recommend reviewing that because that should not be a question right now. It's okay, right? Fake outs pretty much in every which way direction here. Obviously, I'd like to get another trade and put myself here green, but I need to be honestly objective, right? That this has been a really choppy kind of like upper range here of the market where neither bulls want to reclaim control here or bears, or we're effectively kind of like in a no man's land, right? Or like a no man's land of enthusiasm, right? Fake out higher, fake out higher, fake out lower, fake out lower. I did think that other NQ trade there, that last one we were in, I thought that was going to break down there for a second. It was moved through 250 so well. And then it's like everything just got absorbed. It's kind of weird. So for reference, right, the spread on NQ has been as much as a point and a half here today, right? Yeah. So a lot of action down a couple dollars still here. What's the time? 10:38. Still pretty early. So can I get a high volume breakout and hold above previous high of day? Right, that would be my indication, right, of looking for a continuation move here to the upside. Again, NQ is maybe the most likely here from a volume perspective, albeit that might be a little bit of an oxymoron. Maybe a chance here on the 10 min. It wouldn't really make a difference which time frame it does it on. We're going to still have the same profit target the whole 9 yards. So this is going to be close. Very, very close. Not enough. Okay, maybe on ES. Yeah, it's just a smidge under outlier. But it's a nice breakout. At 82, so we're targeting 5,300. So 5,281.50 would have to be your stop. Entry of a retest here of 283. So you're risking a point and a half, right? You're risking about $75 a contract here. See if this thing can find support. So I'd be looking at a 5 contract play here, right? If it can behave the right way. Okay, it looks good. So I'm going to look for a pullback here. Gentle, gentle. Just a little bit more. Come on. Too fast. No entry. No entry. So it kind of looks like it bounced off of the previous high a day. 3 min. Give you a 278.75 stop loss. What is that? It's now for 3 points. So $150 a contract should be 3 contract play. Turn a quarter. Okay, guys, I am in 282.50. Stop at 278. And so far, so good here. So far, so good. So let's see if this thing can keep pushing higher, right? And get me green here nicely. I mean, I'm green here now on the day. It's almost worth taking just a little bit here. I'm so paranoid of giving back P&L. Okay, it's got to run, push up here through 285, and we're in great shape. Otherwise, it's starting to look like a fake out. And we've seen multiple fake outs here today, so not going to get emotionally attached to them. It's got to push ASAP, ASAP, ASAP. There we go. Fly through, baby. 285. Fantastic. So let's see if this thing keep pushing. Working day here. Working day. All right, keep going. Keep going. There we go. All right, finally caught a smooth trade here, guys. So I'm going to look to get out in a second. This move is happening faster than I expected. So next quick little pop higher, I'm going to be getting out and locking in a nice green day here. Come on, you got this. You got this. All right, there we go. All right, guys, I am out. 289 on the dot. Out at 289 on the dot. Really, really, really good trade there, team. Really good trade. Plus 975 on that trade, and we pretty much top ticked it. Beautiful. Oh, And breathe, right? And breathe. How's everyone feeling? Good? Yeah? Everyone green after that trade? Nice work, Jeff. Let's go. Nice work, Mike. Good risk management. Fantastic work, team. So kind of a lot of honestly challenging price action here to start the day off, right? Kind of smacked us around a little bit. Hey, Jeremy, that's pretty good, man. That's really good risk management. So you were pretty much at the exact same number that I was at before I took this trade. Are you with Apex, Rico? Nice work, Herschel. Let's go. And we did a really good job closing that trade where we did, right? We effectively top ticked it by, we missed the top tick by 50 or 2 basis points, or 2 ticks, I should say. So good, right? That was a good decision. We've seen our rules have tortured us here a little bit today, right? We've seen an example now. We're on that, say, second trade of the day, right? We closed it early and then it ran, right, up to like the 300 area, gave us a weak candle and it ran. Now we're getting, right, a strong candle and it's failing, right? And it's giving us effectively the opposite, right? So we've done a really good job here of I want to be careful I say this, but not getting too attached to like the P&L here of this move, not trusting that it's going to move. It's like, fool me once, right? Shame on you, or shame on me, right? Fool me twice, right? Shame on you. So market, right? It's given me a couple opportunities now where it's faked out what have been pretty reasonable sized wins, and then pulled back to kind of be just like a boring $300 or a boring $500. So being able to close this there for a little bit over 2R, I think is a really nice kind of like reminder, right, of why following our technique is so important, because we've seen how, yeah, basically breaking our rules would have maybe made us a little bit of money short term, but then we reinforced the power of following our rules here by closing that trade as that P&L is increasing and not having to stomach then this extra, you know, would be what, $400 right now worth of drawdown post entry. So I think we've done a really good job here managing maybe a little bit of risk, a little bit of mental capital risk. And yeah, I'm feeling pretty good to be up like $950 here on the day, give or take. Um, I'm very skeptical here, Sammy, of continuing to trust these breakouts in either direction, because every trade I have taken has had like a very muted amount of follow through, and then like grind, and then another element of kind of muted follow through. So based on like the general time of day, I think I would be a little bit reluctant to continue to look for longs unless I saw another period of kind of like continuous, we'll call it consolidation, right? And then a high vol breakout away from those ranges. Uh, Selfishly, I still think that it's a little bit of a bearish market. Um, maybe selfishly wasn't the right term there, but I still kind of feel a little bit as if it's a bear market. So my bigger priority, right, or maybe where I'd find a larger bias, maybe that's a better way of describing it, would be looking for now rejections off of like this 300 area or this, I mean, it's effectively 300 as well here on ES. So you have almost like a double psych zone that I would like to probably watch a reaction for. And all the setups I've seen here of like bullish moves here to the upside, they've not been super indicative of a trend day higher. They're indicative like of a grind your teeth and lose your mind day, which I'm not super interested in like feeding myself that type of negative energy. Um, So I think really the only setup I'd be interested in here if something does come together in the next little bit is just to play a ORB fake out breakout to the downside or back towards sort of like the midpoint there of the range. But truth be told, like it's been this has been a tough trading day, right? It has been a decent amount of action, a lot of chop, a lot of kind of small pots, and I feel happy to be green, right, up nearly $1,000. So I don't know how motivated I am to give that up because it does feel a little bit like a coin flip here at the moment, and I'm up a nice day, like it's enough to um, like across accounts, like it's a nice way to sort of, finish off the week if I don't place another trade. So there's probably more value for me in protecting this than trying to compound this singular day. Sounds good, Jeremy. Enjoy your day. Yeah, I'm happy to be green. Nice little session. Good to get back on track. It's, I think it's quite interesting from my perspective here. I feel very, I mean, it's obviously the coffee, but I feel very high energy here this morning, right? I feel very, um, I don't think maybe not high energy is the right term, but I feel pretty sharp. Like I don't feel particularly exhausted by this price action, and I would say that the reason I don't feel exhausted by this price action is because I've been trying to really break down these elements like as technically as I can, right? So I've not really been like P&L watching. I've not really been looking at like my balance or anything along those lines. I've just been watching this price action and trying to maintain that level of objectivity. Today, I think if this was my trading day this time last week, you'd be hearing some like vintage Michael rant and rave about I don't know, something crazy, right? But I don't feel that way. I don't think I felt that way at all here at all during the trading day. And so again, it's like another reminder, right? The more I focus on the technical reasons, the more I'm like honestly face as close to my screen, just watching each little micro candle movement. It feels like that is such a cheat code in being able to remain calm and like this is an oxymoron, but calm and high energy, right? And what I mean by energy is like high mental capital. Like I don't feel drained in that context. So to a certain extent, yeah, I don't know if I need to do anything else here today. I feel pretty good, pretty content, and happy to be green. Like those days where your win rate's a coin flip and you still finish up more than 2R up, that's a great day. So really played that variance game and that numbers game here aggressively this morning. Some good, some bad to that, but yeah, happy to be green. Feels good. Any questions here, team? How's everyone feeling? I do have to say that it seems like for next week, when I'm driving across Saskatchewan, it's like that's when it's destined for the markets to be their most volatile. So it does seem like I'm setting myself up to miss the fun week. So there's like a little bit of envy for those of you who will be trading next week. You do have to say that. Everyone feeling good? It's the best job in the world, Mike. 100%. And yeah, like I say this all the time. I think for me, right, I feel most confident as a trader when I effectively get to like survive my mistakes, right? when I make mistakes that follow my rules, or I have losing trades that follow my rules, and I take small losses, it's so much easier for me to bounce back mentally. I start driving on Friday, Craig. Gonna go see my buddy in Ottawa, and then overnight in Sudbury, Ontario. And okay, now, right, ES and NQ are starting to run, but only after, right, it would have stopped me out here on this pullback. So as much as I can talk myself into thinking that, hey, this would have been a mega win, I 100% would have been stopped out here before it now makes that higher high towards 292. So I think we've had a pretty good read on this market and not gotten greedy here today. For me, that's the most important element. When I'm a greedy trader, I'm an asshole. I self-sabotage myself. I put myself in really bad situations. When I drink 2 cups of coffee and focus on the technical side of things, I feel very refreshed, recharged, right? I don't feel like I'm draining my mental capital. And yeah, this is a scenario where I feel like I could keep executing trades that follow my rules here all day. But yeah, I mean, I feel good, guys. I feel good. Yeah, what a job we have, huh? What a job. So, team, I'm going to go final call for questions here. I'm going to go final call for questions. Not going to stick around much longer. Like I said, happy to be green, and I got to spend a couple hours with some lawyers today. Good times. So, any questions here, team? Any questions? Any tips for driving 10 hours a day? What you guys got? Anything? Gonna have a dedicated office for streaming and stuff like that. So we'll, if you guys have any requests for stuff you guys want in that setup, please let me know. I'll see if I can accommodate. Yeah, I know, Mike. It's gonna be tough. Oh yeah, I can get some of that EDM pushing me through. Absolutely. I'm gonna have a what you call it, a uh, probably a pretty intense World War II audiobook going, and then going. Yeah, I'm going north of Lake Superior, Craig. Nice, Rico. I appreciate it. Send me a link. I'll check it out. Be awesome. So yeah, my days are gonna be no, I'll be like World War history audiobooks. History audiobooks is kind of like what my niche is. So like recently I did like a 45-hour long book on Napoleon. So I want to find something that's like about a topic that I'm not super familiar with, and basically do like a university lecture or like a university course on my drive. Kind of the thing. When I was, I don't know, 18, I really wanted to be a historian. Like I took a lot of history classes, all this kind of stuff. And then I looked at what the pay packages were. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to be a lawyer. And then when I went to law school and I was like, oh, I see what the hours are like. I was like, all right, I'm going to be a trader. So the transition from or the love for history has never disappeared. The love for the law has 100% disappeared. But I think, yeah, history is a lot of fun to study and read. Gets the people going. So, final call for questions here, team. Final call for questions. Busy day. Not quite this long. This will be the longest for sure. It's gonna be epic, Mike. I'm gonna be basically the plan is do a 3 hour drive in the morning, stop, get a coffee, do a quick little walk, and then another 3 hours, stop at a provincial park or a national park, do a couple hour walk, and then another 3 hour kind of drive in the afternoon, 3 to 4 hour drive in the afternoon towards the evening. So do kind of like three shifts of three to four, with a park in between. So I've kind of mapped out my journey where each day, yeah, I'm stopping at a pretty epic provincial park. And so that should be really fun. I get to see, hopefully, the best of what Canada has to offer before then living in like outdoor mecca. So it's going to be sick. And then hopefully I never have to do a drive of this length ever again. That's the other goal. All right, team. Final call here. Final call. Ooh, let me find it for you here. One sec. I got it on a map here. Yeah, I'll send some pictures or something. So I'll be going to Moose Mountain Provincial Park, Craig. Moose Mountain, like just outside of Regina, maybe like an hour away from Regina. Hey, I'll send you guys a picture of my car. It's so packed up, it's disgusting. My poor little luxury vehicle. It's a working man's truck now. Yeah, yeah. You'll have to be strapped up onto the roof. We'll see if I have any space. Good luck. So good 2 hour day here, team. No real complaints about that. Obviously left a little bit of money on the table here. Probably could have squeaked out maybe 15, 1600 from kind of just like the basic setups that I took here today. But we identified the chop pretty well. We identified kind of some scenarios where price action wasn't maybe as strong as it could have been. And honestly waited for deep enough pullbacks where I could take some small losses without really putting myself in a tough situation, right? So kind of a couple small losses, kind of a couple small wins, even Steven here, right? And then set myself up to be nicely green after 2 winning trades to kind of finish off the session. So no real complaints here. Did a good job managing risk. Did a good job here of being relatively objective. And yeah, happy to be walking away here up $938 on the day. For me, pretty positive, pretty happy with that. And we can keep kind of stacking them up. And that's $938 per account. So almost pushing a 7K day. So yeah, no complaints. I'll take that all day long, and hopefully can keep kind of compounding this up and stacking them up. So yeah, well done here, everybody. I know it wasn't the easiest of sessions. Probably had more rants and raves than normal. So blame the coffee, don't blame me. And yeah, same deal like always, right? If you have any questions, hit me up outside the market hours, and I'll do my best to get back to you as soon as I can. Otherwise, have yourselves a fantastic rest of the afternoon, and I'm looking forward to catching up with a few of you here in our one-on-ones later today. So talk then, team, and I'll catch up with you all tomorrow. Peace.